Hello. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I'm Shannon, if you don't know yet, and the purpose of this video today is to share with you my heart journey or my story or my experience, what I've been through. Some of you might be wondering why I've started Heart Habit to Break and why I am qualified to help and share with you about heart stuff. I'm not a doctor, that's for sure, but I have had a lot of experience, and so I want to tell you a little bit about that. So I'll start back at the beginning, which was December 20th, 2016. I was just at work, and then just boom, one day, chest pain. And so it was unlike anything I had ever felt before, and it really wasn't that painful. It was uncomfortable and weird. And then I waited a couple of hours before heading to the hospital. And the pain didn't get worse, but it was very uncomfortable, and I just didn't really know. I knew I couldn't go to sleep, and so I headed to the hospital. So after they did every test they could think of, and I seemed normal to them, they finally took a blood test, and it was about 1 o'clock by then, 1 o'clock in the morning. So they had to wake me up and let me know that I had troponin in my blood, and that's the enzyme it's in your heart, and it only goes into your bloodstream if your heart has had some trauma. So they said, your heart has had some trauma. We need to put you in an ambulance and send you to another hospital that has a cardiac unit. So that's what happened. I went to a different hospital, and the end of that story, I guess, I don't know if it's the end, is that I got 2 stents the next morning. They are end to end like this, not in two different spots of my arteries. So that was it. They kind of sent me on my way and said, take all of, the heart attack cocktail of drugs and exercise and eat healthy, and good luck. We'll see you in a year. And so I was the perfect heart patient. I did everything they told me to do. I exercised 6 or 7 times a day. I lost a bunch of weight. I was really actually very scared to put anything in my mouth that wasn't fueling my body in a healthy way, and took all my drugs and did everything they said. So that went on like that for about a year. One interesting point is in September of 2017, I hit 25 BMI. And that was actually coincidentally the exact weight that I was when I graduated high school. So I thought I could never be that weight again. The difference was I had a mentality now of fueling my body with healthy food rather than dieting. So it was a huge shift, and it really didn't matter what was on the scale because I was going to put healthy food into my body. So then I continued on just, doing my thing. And in November 10th, so almost like 11 months later, chest pain again. This time I was at a work thing, also, it was a work event. And so I was taken away in an ambulance and went to the hospital. And this time the pain was a lot more intense. It was a lot more painful. And I was like, really uncomfortable. And so we, went in the ambulance and headed on. When I was in the ambulance, the pain went away, just completely stopped. And I said to the paramedics, I don't feel chest pain anymore. And they said, oh, you're right. The EKG, which was lighting up at the time, it cleared up. We went to the hospital anyway, and my troponin again was elevated. So they, what's the word? They admitted me and monitored me, and I had a stress test. And so that kind of went for another day or so. And then in that visit, they said, we don't think you have standard coronary artery disease. We think you have this other problem called dissection. And so I was like, okay, that's really interesting, because I knew my heart attacks were different than other people's. And also when the first one happened, I was 42. And so it just obviously seemed a little young for that to be happening. So anyway, but they said, but we don't really know that much about dissection, so just stay on all these drugs and just continue what you're doing. Well, that wasn't good enough for me, because I felt like that was wrong, and I didn't want to be taking drugs for something that I didn't have. So I searched out and found another doctor who knew a little bit more about dissection, and he diagnosed me by watching my original angiogram, when I got my stents, he diagnosed me with spontaneous coronary artery dissection. It's so SCAD is what they call it. And they say you've had a SCAD event. So sometimes I say SCAD event, sometimes I say heart attack, you know, interchangeably, I guess. Anyway, so, and he said to me that day, if we diagnose you with coronary artery disease and you don't have it, and we tell you to take those drugs for 40 years or, you know, till you die, that would be a huge disservice to you. I was like, I almost cried because I was like, that's what I wanted to hear. A doctor that took it to the next level, cared about diagnosing me properly rather than just being like, well, she had a heart attack, so she's in that category. So that was good. So I stopped taking the drugs then and have continued to be monitored by this particular doctor. It's not a really great place to be because, again, they don't know that much about it. But the cause of these types of heart attacks are stress and a little mix in of hormones as well. Emotional and physical stress can play in. And so that's really weird and hard and something that I'm working on every day. So what happens is my arteries like crack on the inside and get little pockets that cause a blockage. It's very serious. I said to him, so next time, can I just not come into the hospital? He's like, no, you could die. So you need to come into the hospital whenever you feel chest pain. So anyway, so that's what I kind of went on for a couple of years, just living that life. And then I last summer started to feel like I wanted to start sharing and helping people. And my experience is all in teaching and training, and that's my passion. And so it was kind of like the perfect merging of those two things. So that's when I really started thinking a lot about Heart Habit to Break, but it took me a while to get anything going. And so that's kind of where I am now. I remember that first day when my first cardiologist, I went into his office for the checkup, and he was like, all right, see you next year. And I was like, wait a second, like, who's going to help me with this like, who's going to help me deal with being a heart patient? I don't, emotionally deal with this. And he said, very straight faced, you might want to see a therapist, and I was like, okay, well, that's true. That would have really helped me. And so he had a valid point, but I was like, okay, I guess it's not you, and that's really what I needed back at that point. And when I've gone through all of this, I need someone to talk to that can relate to me and understand what I'm experiencing. When I had my first heart attack, the only person I knew that had had a heart attack was a friend of my dad's, that I kind of grew up in the neighborhood. And so I knew him well too, and I did get a chance to talk to him, and it was amazing. Even though our experiences were completely different, it just felt like a connection there. And so that is what I want to do for all of you guys. I want to be the person that you think of if you are having any sort of chest pain or heart problems, or you don't know what to do, or you don't know how to turn things around and eat healthy and all of those types of things. I want to be that person that will walk with you, and you can share with me, and I'll share my experiences with you and advise you on what I think would be best. Again, not a doctor, but have had a lot of experience that I would love to share. One other thing, in the last 3 or 4 months, have had a business coach that I've been working with for Heart Habit to Break. And it is amazing how she works with me, advises me, holds me accountable is a really huge thing, and cares. And so I have seen firsthand how that can work and how it can really be, something that can make a difference. So that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. And thanks so much for watching this video today and being here with me. I hope you are doing well and that you're having a wonderful day. Okay, bye.